Hi everyone, welcome to week 4 of Management 650. My name is Helen and I'm going to show you a problem solution that will help you solve homework problem 6. In our example, we have data for sales in thousands and data for number of salespeople working in a bookstore. We're asked to calculate the value of r squared and to interpret the value of r squared. So what does r squared mean? R squared shows us the proportion of the variation in y as explained by the variability of x in the regression model. Now we're going to remember that y is the dependent variable or the response variable and x is the independent variable or the predictor or explanatory variable. So an easy way to remember that is the degree to which x explains or predicts y. Now r squared is expressed as a percentage and it does provide us with useful information about our model. If r squared is low, it is not much use in predicting y. So in our example, we know that sales, that's in the B column, is the y variable or the dependent variable, and x or number of salespeople working is the x variable. So we want to know the proportion of the variation of sales as explained by the variance of number of salespeople working in the store. So to make it simple, how the number of salespeople working in the store explains or predicts sales. So to do that, the first thing we're going to do is to calculate the correlation if we don't have it. And when I calculate correlation, I use a formula in Excel. The first thing I do before I do that is to write down my arrays. So here in our X column, if you don't know how to do that, just click on the first number, and that's A6, and you'll write down A6, and then you'll go down to the last number. And if you need to look up here, it's A15. So you write that down, and I've written it down right there. And then here I go to my B column, which is my Y column, and I can see that I'm in B6. I click on that first data point and it's B6, and then I click on the last data point and it's B15, and I come over here and I write this down. Now make sure that these two columns, the X column and the Y column, are located next to each other, right next to each other. No columns in between, no space in between. Okay, so now we're ready to calculate our formula. I click on a cell, I type in equal, I type in CORREL, I open my parenthesis, shift 9, I input A6 colon A15, then I put a comma in, then I put in B6, and then I put colon, and then I put B15. I do shift 0 to close those parentheses, and then I press enter. And there is my my correlation. Then I go down and I am going to, all I do is square this correlation. So I'm going to do equal 0.965, and then I'm going to do shift 6 to make that caret and the 2 to square it, and I press enter, and there is my r squared. 93.1% or 0.931 if you want the decimal. It was as simple as that. Now the next part, they're asking us, what does this mean? How do we interpret this? So I'll bring up another chart, and what we say is that about 93% of the variance in sales can be accounted for by the regression model of sales on number of salespeople working. So another way to say this is about 93% of the variance in sales is explained by the variability in the number of salespeople working. So what this tells us is that we have a strong linear relationship between sales and number of salespeople working. And when you think about it, only about 7% of the sample variability in sales is due to factors other than the number of salespeople working. So we have a strong linear relationship between those two variables. Um, so just to conclude, we've learned how to calculate R squared by determining first what our correlation is, and then once we know the correlation, we square the correlation and we get the R squared. And we've also learned the meaning behind R squared and how to interpret it. So I hope this helps. If you have any questions at all, I cannot hesitate enough that you need to reach out to your tutors and your professors. We're here to help you. We've all been there before. So be sure to reach out to us.